Yo, what is going on, guys? Got some more BT5 gameplay for you guys. This is going to be quite the interesting matchup. So I'm playing a LordKnightmon Yell deck, and my opponent is also playing the same deck. So if you're just absolutely sick of LordKnightmon by this point in the BT5 format, sorry to say, but this video is not for you. But I personally think the LordKnightmon mirror match is like very interesting. It can go one of two ways. One, like the person who draws better or like gets to LordKnightmon quicker usually just ends up taking it, but sometimes if you get to LordKnightmon at the same time, it becomes this weird tug of war where like you're not sure who wants to pull out of the breeding area first, and I don't know, I feel like there's still some strategy for it. But anyways, so you see there I've got the Terurimon in the breeding area, my opponent set up with his own Unimon, and then I'm just going to end things off by playing the TK Takaishi and searching my copy of LordKnightmon to my hand. So I think he was debating whether or not to pull out of the breeding area, but the thing is once your opponent has established a TK as well as a level 4, and then you saw that I grabbed the LordKnightmon, I'm most likely going to be building up in the next turn or two, so it's not the best idea to leave a bunch of powerful Digimon out onto the field if you know I'm just going to basically kill it the following turn. So I'm just going to start my turn with 3, play Pulsemon, draw a card, and since my opponent doesn't have his own TK, at least not yet, I'm just going to choke him at 1 by going into the Pidomon, but he's going to keep his LordKnightmon in the breeding area and then just play his own TK, passing turn, and then hopefully he's waiting for me to like bring out my guys so that he can go into LordKnightmon, like bring him out, and then just go to town, start unloading his hand, and potentially go into something like a Valdarm. And that's just why LordKnightmon is so strong, because you can kind of counter other decks by just like being very patient, waiting in the breeding area, and then you get so much value out of your one like explosive turn where you just like bring out of the breeding area, attack once, especially if you've got something like Anjouwon underneath, then you can potentially bring out multiple things whenever you swing. And then of course LordKnightmon also gains the plus 1000 boost for every single Digimon you have on field other than LordKnightmon. So then I'm just going to bring out my Terurimon from the breeding area and then play a Unimon for 5 passing turn, and then since my opponent does have TK, he will start with 3. So we're both on even ground playing the TK. I think here I was really struggling for a level 5 Digimon because as you guys know, I did search the LordKnightmon, but unfortunately I did not see any Knightmons and any War Groundmons or Anjouwons to be able to build up into my own LordKnightmon. So now it is my opponent who has the LordKnightmon on the field first. So this could go a couple of ways. One, he could just start steamrolling and then just completely wipe my board and prevent me from establishing my own LordKnightmon, my own Wargreymon, anything like that. Or if he potentially dies in security, or if I draw something like a Spiral Masquerade, or get into like the Wargrowl / combo, then I could potentially counter him and then establish my board, because I do still have 3 Digimon on field versus my opponent's 2. But you see in his hand right now, well, one, you saw the Lucemon, but he's also got Spiral Masquerade. So I think the plan for him here is to just swing with the LordKnightmon, play a Lucemon or a Starmon from his hand, get 3 Digimon on the field, and then activate Spiral Masquerade to potentially, delete a couple of my Digimon. So we're going to see the LordKnightmon swing, Starmon's played minus 3000 on the Unimon, and then minus 1000, I believe, from the Pikmon as well. And then I am going to activate the Spiral Masquerade from my security. So that is super unfortunate for my opponent, because now I'm going to just be able to get rid of 2 of my opponent's Digimon, making his Masquerade completely useless. Now, I did have a minus 9000 DP reduction there, which is why I didn't target the LordKnightmon, because if I made LordKnightmon minus 9000, it really wouldn't have done anything, because she had already attacked, and then putting her to like, 13 from 13,000 down to 4,000 wouldn't have really made a big difference, since it is my opponent's turn. But just getting rid of the 2 extra bodies was very huge. I was not even trying to play around Spiral Masquerade at that point, but little did I know this was actually like the tipping point of the game, because my opponent was going to clear both of my blockers, and then he would have 3 Digimon in field with his LordKnightmon. I would have 1 Terurimon, or just like, 1 champion left on field with only 3 memories. So that is pretty huge in my opinion. So then we are just going to see a Chaosmon Valderarm come down for 6 memory, and then we are going to see the Terurimon and most likely the Unimon blown up. Chaosmon Valderarm lets you do minus 7,000 to up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon. So I'm going to start my turn with quite a lot of memory, so 6 memory. Now my opponent, he did know that I was kind of struggling to get level 5s because, as you saw, I had 3 champions on my field, wasn't Digivolving in the breeding area, anything like that. He knows I have LordKnightmon, so it's kind of weird that I wouldn't do that if I did have the level 5. But now I'm going to start my turn Digivolve the Ibushi Agumon, and unfortunately for my opponent, I actually did draw into the level 5s. Finally, I drew into an Anjumon and putting me at exactly 6 security. I'm not sure if I had Blinding Ray in my hand, but putting me at 6 lets me jump from a champion all the way into LordKnightmon. And now that my opponent has a suspended Valderarm in play, I can just go ahead and declare my attack over the Valderarm, which will end up giving my opponent 3 memory and passing the turn. But that is totally fine, clearing a big threat off the field. So I'm just going to play the Knightmon and then swing over my Valderarm. And my opponent is going to gain 3 memory from Valdermon's effect, putting him back at 3 to start the turn. But now my opponent has absolutely no Digimon on field, nothing in the breeding area, is starting from scratch while I have the established board. So this is what I like about, I guess, just Digimon in general, is that it can go so back and forth and you really don't know who's going to win. There are so many factors that come into play, but my opponent is going to Digivolve quite quickly with the help of Sirenmon there. I think that's a really cool tech to allow you to build up into your level 6 much quicker. And then we're going to see a Cutemon played for 3. Sorry about the glare there, but that is a Cutemon. Not sure how relevant it is in this matchup since yellow doesn't really do any reduction of evolution costs, but something like Gazimon doesn't exist for yellow, unfortunately. Maybe that would be a little bit too broken. Do you guys want a Gazimon for yellow, like a memory choker for yellow? Let me know if you think that would be too broken. I think that'd be really insane, just because yellow is like already a really good color. But so we're going to see me swing with the LordKnightmon and place the Starmon from the hand, deleting the Cutemon there, and then hit a TK in security, which will let my opponent add a card from his security to his hand, and then gain the recovery +1, of course. And we are most likely going to see a LordKnightmon coming out the following turn. Either a LordKnightmon or a WarGreymon, because I do know he's playing WarGreymon in his list, and then we're going to see him grab the Knightmon there in preparation for the following turn. I'm just going to Digivolve into the Unimon, and then we are going to see a Pidomon hit the field. So I've got multiple blockers. Even if we see something like WarGreymon, LordKnightmon, there's no way he's going to out both my blockers, and then I'm just going to drop a second LordKnightmon. So nothing short of like a WarGreymon Valderarm would be able to clear multiple Digimon on my field right now. So my opponent is going to start with 3. We're going to see the Sirenmon come on out of the breeding area. Sirenmon is a really cool ultimate because she does have, you know, that 2-cost evolution stat, which is really, really powerful, letting you Digivolve really quickly. We are going to see the yellow WarGreymon hit the field. WarGreymon is a really, really powerful card, especially in the yellow mirror match, because it just puts so much pressure on your opponent. It can basically out a LordKnightmon all by himself. Supposedly, if your opponent doesn't have like an established field already like this, you know, having multiple blockers, and even if he does get rid of a LordKnightmon, you know, I have 2 of them. So right there, I'm honestly not sure if the best play was to block. You guys can let me know. Well, so he did minus 6,000 on the LordKnightmon. Or on the suspended one. So basically, he could just attack over again now, and then I would have to get rid of my other blocker. So I'm basically losing 2 Digimon, versus if I would have just let it gone through, I only would have lost LordKnightmon, because I know he doesn't have, well, I guess I didn't know he had Valderarm, but it's kind of unlikely he had Valderarm, because he already went through one. But anyways, so you guys can let me know which one you think was the correct play there. But regardless, I'm going to start my turn with double LordKnightmon on the field, Digivolve into that Kotamon there, and then probably just going to be able to swing for a game, because at this point, 1, I have 2 LordKnightmons on field, and 2, I also had a Chaosmon Valderarm in my hand, as you will see here shortly. So I'm just going to swing with the LordKnightmon, play the Starmon for my hand, minus 4,000 on the Pulsemon there, hit a LordKnightmon in security, but since my LordKnightmon that's just swung is 14,000, I am not going to die to anything in security short of a Valderarm. And then we're going to evolve into Terurimon for a cost of 1, and then we're going to swing swing with the other LordKnightmon, using her effect to play a Kodamon, reveal the top 5, nothing except Pulsemons and War Growlmon, so not going to see anything there. And then we're going to check one more security, hit a Slash Angemon, and then finish it off with a Chaosmon Valor Arm to round off game 1. So that's going to be game 1. So game 2, we are going to see my opponent start most likely. Or actually, he's going to make me go first. So we're going to see me hatch the Pikmon. I'm not sure if you really want to go first or second in this matchup, to be honest. I feel like maybe going second's a little bit better, just so you can pull out a breeding later. You guys can let me know how correct you think that analysis is. But anyway, so he's going to go ahead and start his turn by digivolving that Cutemon and then the Unimon, just passing it over to me for 1 after I left him with 1 from my Terurimon. So then we see the Lucemon, I think, and then I also saw a TK in his hand, and then I'm just going to pass it over to him once again by digivolving the Knightmon, finally able to see a level 5 this time around, which is super fantastic. And we're just going to see my opponent play the TK for a cost of 4. TK is just such a wonderful consistency card. I literally think that's the best tamer in the game. Here's Donkey Nog's rating for the best tamer in the game. Tamer tier list right here. TK's number 1, Nokia's 2 for sure, and then I'd say Davis is like 3rd best tamer, and then all the others, maybe might be like 4th. All right, that's top 4 right there. 5 probably Marcus, just because I'm a little bit biased, but there you go. Top 5 best tamers in the game. It's official. Anyway, so my opponent is going to go ahead and play that TK and then pass it over to me. I'm just going to play the Gladiemon for 4. I do play the 1 copy of Gladiemon. I do think it's a little bit useful sometimes, especially because against like a security controller, just like a black matchup, it's really nice to be able to have something that you can just play for like not too expensive that doesn't die to Ultimate Flare because he is a 4 cost. But regardless, I'm going to play him. But the reason that he sucks is just like I never end up hitting anything off of him, so I'm not going to be able to add anything from security. My opponent is going to play his copy of Kodamon and then get the LordKnightmon, which is unfortunate for me, but at the very least we see a Spiral Masquerade and a Blinding Ray going to the bottom. Most lists play like 2 and 2 or 2-1, sometimes like 3 Blinding Ray, 1 or 2. So regardless, we're going to see both of those cards go to the bottom. So it's a little bit unlikely we'll see Spiral Masquerade anytime soon, but you never know. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead, activate my TK, and then look through my own security, and then grab the War Growlmon for security. War Growlmon is so good. I don't know why Bandai just decided to make like War Growlmon like broken, like the most broken ultimate. Like not even just the yellow one, but like purple War Growlmon is like literally the best purple card. That card is so insane. I absolutely love that card. I really like the Chaos Eonmon deck, but that's another story. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know why Black War Growlmon and like War Growlmon are just like so powerful, but we're going to see it pass back to me after my opponent digivolves into that War Growlmon in his breeding area, and then I'm going to probably maybe see a LordKnightmon at some point. That'd be really nice because my opponent does have the War Growlmon in his security, or in his breeding area, but nope, I guess we're just going to see a Kodamon played, and then you see there I grab the Knightmon as well as LordKnightmon, so let's go +2 off a Kodamon. Feels super nice, and then finally I'm going to end things off by digivolving into finally my LordKnightmon for a cost of 3, passing it over to my opponent. So the game state is a little bit equal, just like last time where we both got TKs, can't memory choke each other. We've both got away to LordKnightmon. I've literally got LordKnightmon in my breeding, but then my opponent's got the War Growlmon. Probably going to want to just try to draw into the LordKnightmon. We see the War Greymon as well as a Knightmon in his hand. So War Greymon plus War Growl is already like 10,000 reduction. So that's kind of scary, especially since he already has 4 other Digimon on field, and I've just got the 1 LordKnightmon. So I was really debating here whether or not I should bring out, and I think that's like one of the most important things is just to know when you can bring out your Digimon, when it's safe to, when you need to go for aggressive plays versus when you need to play conservatively, and it's just very hard to do like properly, I think. So anyways, I'm going to bring out the LordKnightmon, swing, use her effect, and then bring out my Knightmon, and then use the Pikmon So in total, that was a minus 5,000 on the blocker there, deleting it and then hitting a War Growlmon in security. So that is one Digimon down, and then we've left with a couple of Hedgehogs, as well as a Kodamon, I think that is, or yeah, that's Starmon actually. So then I'm just going to Digivolve into another LordKnightmon off of the Knightmon, and then go into Spiral Masquerade. Such a balanced card, and then minus 3,000 to each of my opponent's Digimon, thus clearing his board and getting rid of any worries I had for a big LordKnightmon play or a big Wargreymon play that he could definitely still do, but it won't be nearly as impactful with, like, you know, a bajillion other Digimon on play. So my opponent does have 3 memory. We see the Wargrowlmon minus 4,000. We know he's got the Wargreymon in his hand, so we're going to see minus 4,000 on the Kodamon, get rid of it altogether. And then go into the LordKnightmon as opposed to the Wargreymon. Well, LordKnightmon, he does have the Knightmon in his hand, so that is pretty significant. Now that I don't have any like blockers or anything else on field, we're probably just going to see him attack over my suspended LordKnightmon by reducing, you know, her by 4,000 or 2,000 with the Starmons or whatever. So we're just going to see the Knightmon and then run over my suspended Lord Knight, and then go ahead and play the Knightmon from hand. And then are we going to see him Digivolve into anything else? If we see a Valder Arm here, that would be really detrimental, and I would most likely lose the game because he's just so far ahead in terms of advantage. And then we're just going to see a Gladiemon played. Nothing was hit in security. And then it is just going to pass over to me. So then I'm going to start with 3 memory. Go ahead, hatch the Pikmon, Digivolve into Pulsemon. But my opponent's got no blockers on field. I've got the LordKnightmon in an unsuspended state. And I can just go ahead and start swinging and potentially clear his field of any threat. So will we see that happen? Well, let's find out. So we're going to swing with LordKnightmon. User effect to minus 2,000 on the Lord Knight. So his Lord Knight goes from 13 to 11, and then mine is currently at 12 because I've got the Starmon. So then I will run over his, clearing one major threat. I think the other threat here is the Knightmon, because I know he's got the Wargreymon. Well, I don't know he's got the Wargreymon at this time, but like in retrospect, I guess I do. But anyway, so in preparation of a LordKnightmon or Wargreymon or anything, I think getting rid of the Knightmon, if possible, would be really significant. I'm going to go ahead and go into Pedomon for a cost of 1, putting up a blocker. Blocker with LordKnightmon is always a good plan, especially if he's got something like Wargreymon, because then I can just block the attack. Or if he chooses to do minus 6,000 on the Pedomon instead, then he'll have to crash with the LordKnightmon, which is totally fine, because now I've got an established ultimate in the back, and then that can, you know, get the minus 4,000 next turn and then go into a Mega. So even if he does somehow get rid of my LordKnightmon, which he won't be able to do easily unless he's got a Valder Arm, I've got plays next turn is my point. I've still got something that I can come back with. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and Digivolve into the Starmons in the breeding area for a cost of 0. And then we are going to see lots of Knightmons in his hand, but no, we are going to see a Wargreymon hit the field, putting him at 0. So Wargreymon, again, like I said, a very, very powerful card. So we could definitely swing, like its security is something, minus 6,000 on the blocker, unsuspend, and then potentially crash. I'm not sure if he wants to crash, but I guess he's going to do it. I guess LordKnightmon sitting on the field is more than my opponent wants to deal with, even though I have the potential for another one to come out the following turn. And we see the Blinding Ray as well as hand, a Lucamon, TK, Knightmon's, a Unimon, but do we see any other big plays? We're going to see a Blinding Ray, trash the top card of security, get +2 memory. Digivolve into the Unimon, go back to 0, draw a card, and then probably going to Digivolve on up into an Ultimate. Yep, so we see the Knightmon there, and then Digivolve for 3. So that was a really, really powerful play, letting my opponent basically get to the same game state as me, where we both have level 5s coming out of the breeding area. So if I carelessly bring out my Wargreymon, I can most likely be answered by what is going to come out of his breeding area. If he didn't use the Blinding Ray, he would have had to stop at the Unimon, and then I would have most likely been able to take the game much easier. So at this point in the game, I was thinking really hard about what exactly I should do. and I'm just going to play a Kodamon for 3 to start things off, reveal the top 5, and not going to get anything. Of course, I never get anything. Well, I guess I did get the +2 of that last game, but usually I never get really anything off Kodamon, but I still feel like you have to play him at some capacity. Anyways, I'm just going to pass turn by playing him and then Digivolving into the Unimon. So if my opponent does bring out a potential level 6, I'm totally fine with it losing the Unimon. Really just wanted to get him on the field to search, the Kodamon on the field to search, and then just draw a card off the Unimon. So my opponent is going to do a similar play where we're just going to see a Pulsemon played and then a Terurimon Digivolved, and then potentially, especially because, you know, the Pulsemon did only cost 2 and then Terurimon to 1, he could go into another level 5, but no, we're just going to see a level 4, who I believe that is oh no, that's Knightmon on top of the Gladymon, my apologies. So we are going to see a level 5 hit the field. So that is a little bit scary. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, my opponent's got 2 level 5s in play, like 1 on the field and 1 in the breeding area. So even if I get rid of the 1 on the field, still have to deal with the 1 in the breeding area. So I think at this point I was like, you know what, let's just go aggressive, because if I don't, he'll have potentially like multiple 6s by the end of my next turn, and I really won't be able to deal with that. So we're just going to do -4,000 on the Terurimon, and then Digivolve into a LordKnightmon, draw my card, and then probably just going to swing with LordKnightmon. Again, I do have the Unimon, so that does feel a little bit comfortable. We're just going to play the Bushi Agumon. I think at this point my opponent had 2 security left. Yep, so then I'm going to hit with the Bushi Agumon, swing with Unimon for game. So guys, that is going to be game. Hopefully that was an enjoyable match, albeit a very, very grindy one. But guys, that is going to be the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of LordKnightmon. Do you like the deck, or are you sick of it by this point? Let me know what you think. But guys, that's going to be the video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.